Okay, we'll start. Om Shuklambaradaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarvaviknopashantaye Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Okay. So if you remember, in the last session we were looking at Markandeya Purana. Lastly we saw the story of a prince, Ritudwaja and Madalasa. If you remember, I'll just give you a quick background. Ritudwaja, the prince, he, as told by a sage Galava, he went in search of a girl. Actually he was told to kill a demon. That demon assumed the form of a boar, and that's where he found the queen, the princess Madalasa, and both of them, they married each other. So now what happens further? Let's continue and see. Basically this Madalasa, she was a Gandharva girl, or she was a Gandharva princess. Now if you remember, this prince Ritudwaja, he had a horse with him, and on that horse he rides along with his wife Madalasa, and both of them, they returned to his kingdom, and they began to live happily. Now further what happens is, for a few months they lived together happily, and at that time Shatrujit, Ritudwaja's father, again he advises and he tells Ritudwaja that you go all across the earth, you check wherever the Brahmins and people who are doing these sacrifices, if they are facing any problems, or the demons causing anyone trouble, because as Kshatriyas it is our first duty to ensure that people all around the earth, sea and all the borders, our subjects should always be safe, our sages should be safe. So it is your first duty to save. So you go around the world and see wherever someone is causing trouble, you ensure that you kill them or you properly punish them, and so that all the sacrifices can be done right. Ritudwaja, he did, and he went whole day, he used to travel, and he used to return only at night time. And one day when he was going so, he saw a sage sitting at the bank of the river Yamuna, and this sage was actually Talaketu. Who was this Talaketu? He was actually his name was Talaketu, and earlier he had met him. If you remember, earlier we had seen a person called Patalaketu. You remember that? Patalaketu. That was the demon. And now this Patalaketu, he had a brother Talaketu, who was a sage. So Ritudwaja met this person on the bank of the river Yamuna, and now he was also actually a demon. Patalaketu's brother, obviously he would also be a demon, but he had assumed the form of a sage. So he was also very smart. He knew that Ritudwaja, this king, had come in order to save and ensure that all the sages could do their sacrifices well. So he tells Ritudwaja that a lot of demons are causing a lot of trouble, and I'm going to start a sacrifice, so I need some donation also. So he tells that the necklace that you worn on your neck, you please give me that. If you give that, you don't have to pay me any dakshina. I'm doing a great sacrifice. Obviously when something like a sacrifice or a puja, anything is done, we also give something in donation, right? So like this sage, the demon Talaketu, had assumed the form of the sage. He tells Ritudwaja that you please hand over the necklace that you worn around your neck. And this prince was also, he felt that the sage is real. He removed his necklace and gave. And the sage said, okay, you just protect my hermitage from demons and everything properly. I'll just go about and I'll come in some time. Now this demon who was there, this sage who was actually a demon, he came to the court of Shatrujit, that is to Ritudwaja's father's court. And this Ritudwaja is still waiting for the sage to return. He is protecting his hermitage. And Madalasa, the queen, was also there in the court. And he said that now he goes and he tells a lie to the king, saying that Prince Ritudwaja, he died, he sacrificed his life fighting with demons while he was protecting my hermitage, and he gave me this necklace, and his horse also has been taken away, and I bought his necklace along with me, and just to inform you, give you the news also. And he gives the necklace to Madalasa, the Ritudwaja's wife, and he returns back. Hearing the news of her husband, Jad Madalasa, she also died, and so the entire palace mourned. And now Shatrujit, the king, was also fully mourning. He did not know for whom's death he should mourn. His son had also died. He got the news. His daughter-in-law also dies. And further, what happens is that king, he finally consoles himself. He does the last rites it seems, for both. And Talaketu, this person, he returns back to the hermitage and he found Ritudwaja is still standing alone. He said that, thank you, you stood here all the while, now you can return back. Whatever I wanted to do, I have completed my work, you can go back. And Ritudwaja, he returns back to his palace. Now the news had been got that Ritudwaja, this prince, had died. But now that he had returned back, everyone was looking at him with surprise. How come this person, we got the news that he has died, how come he has returned back? And Ritudwaja did not know anything. He met everyone happily. He went to the palace, he met his parents, and the king queen were very happy seeing their son. But then they were very shocked because the princess Madalasa, she had given up her life because her husband had died. And looking at the shocked and surprised faces of his parents, Ritudwaja asked what happened, and they tell him everything. Now this was a total shock that his wife had died, and finally he decides that I'm never going to marry again. So at that time, now all the story is being told by the sons of the Naga Loka, and they are telling the story to their father, because from Naga Loka every day they used to come to play with normal human beings, right? So now they finally said that this Ritudwaja story that we told you, he was earlier a prince, but now he is leading a life like an ascetic, like a sage, and he only plays with people of his age, that is with us and everything. So therefore, this Ritudwaja was a prince with whom these Nagaloka children, these Nagas used to play. So they are telling the story of this Ritudwaja, and that is the reason, because he has faced a lot in his life, he has suffered. So that is the reason we all of us, though we belong to Nagaloka, we spend a lot of time with him, and we always want to keep him happy because he has faced a lot in life. He's always sad, so we try to keep him happy. So that is the reason. Now this question was asked by Nagaraja, Lord of the Nagaloka, why you are returning back home so very late in the night? They live in Patala, right? So you go to earth early in the morning, you come back late at night. So they tell him that we like to spend more time with this prince Ritudwaja. So that is the reason we return back late. And now hearing all this entire story, now Nagaraja, that is the king of serpents, he starts thinking. And he says that, let us do one thing now, surely. Now he earlier also, if you remember in the last session we had seen, this Nagaraja always told his sons that this Ritudwaja with whom you like to spend a lot of time, you like to play with him and so on, you must always give him a gift, right? So then they sit and wonder what to give him a gift, and ultimately they end up telling his entire story. So now Nagaraja, he gets an advice, and he says that I will do such a thing that Ritudwaja, who has been so sad all these years, I will bring a smile to his face. So what he does is that he reaches a place called Plakshavatara. Plakshavatara is a pilgrimage place at the foothills of the Himalayas. So he reaches there, and there they do severe penance to please goddess Saraswati. Finally goddess appears before them, and this Nagaraja, his name was Ashwathara. He and his brother, he had his brother also, his name was Kambala and Ashwathara, they all belong to the Nagaloka. So they became very famous singers, and they asked a boon that we both should be blessed with a sweet voice, and they become singers ultimately. They start worshipping Lord Shiva, singing songs, and again Lord Shiva appears in front of them. And at that time Ashwathara, this Nagaraja Ashwathara, he asks a boon to Lord Shiva that I want this Madalasa, that is Ritudwaja's wife Madalasa, to be born as my daughter. Lord Shiva says your wish will come true, and Madalasa was born to him. And finally what happens is that they return back to Patal Loka after to their home. And now this Nagaraja, a very unique way this Madalasa was born. Shiva tells that when the Shraddha period comes, that is during the Pitru Paksha, the Pindadanam that all of us do during the Shraddha, the middle portion, now there are different Pindas that are offered, right? Even the number also differs. So like this, the middle portion, that is the biggest Pinda, that is which is offered to the dead ancestors. What you have to do is you just think about that, chant a few mantras, and while doing this, Madalasa will emerge from that. This is how Madalasa's birth took place. And thus this lady, she was born, and Ashwathara, he did not tell this news to anyone. He just kept it to himself. And one day he told his sons that you bring Ritudwaja now. Every day you go to his place to play. So on fine day you also bring him to Nagaloka, let him also come to a new place. Now both the sons, they were very happy, saying that their friend was coming along. They tell Ritudwaja, and they tell him that every day we are coming to your house. Now one day you have to also come to my house. And finally the prince, they bring Ritudwaja along with him. And it It is said that when they reached Patala Loka, even human beings also, they were all turning into serpents, because that is the rule of the Patala Loka. And he was amazed to see that all his friends, now they were a group of friends, so human beings were all into serpents, and he went to the streets and everything. It was a new place altogether, so he explored the entire place, and finally they reached the palace. And Ritudwaja, he met everyone, he met the Nagaraja, he greeted all of them, and finally they say that Nagaraja says that you stay here for a few months with us, enjoy all the pleasures of Patal Loka, be very happy. Ritudwaja, he started staying in this palace, and the king, he did his best to make Ritudwaja happy, because his sons were always happy, they were enjoying the company of this prince, so he wanted to keep always Ritudwaja happy. So that initially he will forget the sorrow, because his wife has died. He does not know that his wife has been reborn as this Nagaraja's daughter. So he was very happy, and many times Ashwatthara, now still he has not revealed that Madalasa is born in my daughter. He had born as my daughter, he has still kept her in secrecy. So many times in between he used to ask Ritudwaja that you tell what is your desire, what is your wish, what you want, I'll try to fulfill it. But then every time Ritudwaja, from the bottomest of his heart, he always felt that he wanted Madalasa to return, right? But he knew the fact that people once died, they will never return back. So he used to always, whenever this topic came in saying that what you want, what you wish for, he used to very nicely used to avoid the topic and completely change the topic, start talking about something else. So still Ashwatthara used to say that you tell something, and finally he tells his sons, he asks his sons that what you feel, what will make this prince Ritudwaja happy, and the sons tell that only bringing back the princess Madalasa will make this prince happy. And this king, he himself, he raised a topic saying that maybe you want your wife together only, will that make you happy? Prince Ritudwaja said, he was very shy at first, but then he said that only that is done, only if this helps, that if I want my wife, that only will make me happy, nothing more, he says. And Ashwatthara says, okay, you come here, I will show you someone. Now he shows Madalasa, who had been born as her daughter. And once what happened is that no, Madalasa, she was shown. But then now this Ashwatthara, this Nagaraja, he told that at first he did not immediately tell that okay, he is your wife, she is your wife, you accept her. She just tells that in Patal Loka, people after they die, they come here. So it is like a ghost form, it's like an illusionary form, so you cannot touch it, you can just see the form, that's it. So now Ritudwaja was again sad. Now immediately when we see someone, when we a dead person, when we see, how are we going to react? We'll first go and touch, right? Now when someone is sleeping also, if you want to wake up someone, you'll actually go and touch the person. Or if someone is dead or alive, when someone dies away, so we try to shake the person, right, to check. So similarly here also, once he suddenly sees his wife in front of him, he tries to go and touch her. So Nagaraja says, no, you cannot touch, it's an illusionary form here in Patal Loka, it's like a ghost form. So now the king, he fell down unconscious, he became unconscious because he could not believe what he saw in front of him. And once he got up, it felt like a dream for him, and he was continuously taking the name of Madalasa. And then Nagaraja, now it was just like a test. She was actually the original daughter, proper human form of the princess, but then Nagaraja had done this purposely because Ritudwaja, if at the first instance, if he had looked at Madalasa, he would have been shocked. So because these are a few things which are beyond belief. You cannot bring a dead person back. But a few things, he prayed to Goddess Saraswati, Shankara and so on, they got a boon. So that's how this princess was born. So to ensure that Ritudwaja does not shock, is not shocked, that is the reason Nagaraja tells firstly that this is an illusion, and later he reveals that this is only Madalasa, you can take her with you. Ritudwaja is very happy, he goes on his horse and he returns to his kingdom, he tells his parents and everything. Further, Shatrujit, he turns out old, he makes Ritudwaja the king, Madalasa the queen. They give birth to their son. Son is called Vikranta. Like this, different sons were born to them. And it is said that now this Madalasa, she was a Gandharva woman. It is said that she gave a lot of knowledge to her son. She was very knowledgeable. And at that time, Madalasa said that all these names and everything, let me only decide. So she names all her 4 sons. One is Vikranta, second is Subahu, third was Shatrumardana, and fourth was Alarka. Now if you remember the story of Dattatreya and Alarka. Who is this Alarka? Ritudwaja and Madalasa's sons Alarka. So most of you would have forgotten. If you remember in the last session we had seen the story of Dattatreya, right? So Puranas are in fact stories within stories that are told. So like this now comes the significance of Alarka. So one son, the fourth son is named as Alarka. Now this Madalasa, this princess, she gave all her sons, she taught her sons so much of philosophy and knowledge that all of them ultimately became ascetics. Now Ritudwaja says that let us not lose all our sons. We want at least one son to be in the worldly life. Like let us also enjoy the way normal parents do. So therefore he requests his wife, saying that you don't teach him too much of philosophy and everything. Let him lead a normal life so that he can become my successor. Let him rule over this earth and so on. And at that time Madalasa then says, okay, I'll do that. But then she tells the little prince, that is Alarka, she tells that boy that though you are living in this world, you will rule over this earth, and always you worship Lord Krishna. She says, Lord Krishna, you become a great devotee of Krishna. And later she also tells him, she teaches him a lot of Kshatriya Dharma that is there. Now Kshatriya Dharma, what are the duties of the various ashramas, the Varna ashrama? These are a few questions that Alarka asks Madalasa, that is duties of a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. It's quite same as we have seen in all other Puranas also. So all that she explains, and then finally she talks about the Brahmacharya ashrama, Grihastha ashrama, Vanaprastha ashrama and Sannyasa ashrama. Then later she talks about the duties of a Grihastha, that is a householder, and in the case of Kshatriyas they have to become the king. Later, because he was born as a Kshatriya, you are about to become a king. So she tells that even though you become a Grihastha, your first rule is to take care of your subjects, just like Krishna advises Arjuna. Similarly, here Madalasa is advising everything to this fourth son Alarka. So though she did not teach him a lot of maybe deep philosophy or so, that he ended up becoming an ascetic, living in the world only, she developed good qualities in him. She gave him good knowledge, and different questions were asked by him. Different Shraddha Karma rituals were also told. Being a Grihastha, he had to do Shraddha, and regarding that also, so many things have been told. So let's look at that. So Madalasa, she says that there are many rituals which are to be carried out by Grihasthas only. Like for example, doing an Shraddha, for that husband wife both are needed. Being a Grihastha is important. For doing sacrifices, again being a Grihastha is important. So like this, there are a few duties, and also to go away, to come out of the rinas that we have, Pitru Rinam, Bhuta Rinam, Deva Rinam. Out of that also we have to come out. For that again we must have a wife, so that further also our future generation can be increased, and they will also ensure that all our ancestors are taken care of. So these are all a few duties of Grihasthas which are to be followed by everyone. So these are a few things that Madalasa keeps explaining, and different ceremonies have to be done right from the time of childbirth, right from the time of marriage. In fact, after marriage also we have a few rituals that are carried out, right? And it is said that even during, now I don't know how many of you have heard about this, even during the time of marriage also we do a Shraddha. The Shraddha is called the Nandi Mukha Shraddha. Has anyone heard of this Nandi Mukha Shraddha? No?
We do Nandi one day before marriage.
One day. Yes. Nandi, if you hear, even one day before marriage, some people say one day before even the Punal, that is Yajnopavita Samskara, also we do that, right? So that is similar to that. Nandi Mukha. So even during the time of marriage. So basically a Shraddha, if you see, it is not only when a person dies we do. It is not limited to only that. Be it a marriage, be it a Upanayana Samskara, or be it any puja, it is like a remembrance to all our ancestors. And when at that time also, the Nandi Mukha Shraddha, if you see, now depending on the place where we live and different cultures and traditions, customs that are followed, the Grihastha, that is the groom, usually faces the east or north direction, and rice and other items, they are offered to Brahmins all around, and Brahmins are worshipped. So these are a few rituals that are done. So your Madalasa tells that for Grihasthas, even during the marriage also a Shraddha has to be done. There is a Nandimukha Shraddha, and also during other occasions like we do marriage, Upanayana and so on. So Shraddha is not only when a person dies, it has to be carried out, it has to be done even during all occasions. It's like a remembrance of all our ancestors, and also on every Amavasya that we do the Shraddha karma without fail, that has to be done. And also at the time of eclipse also it is done. That is the reason you see most of in our households we'll have men doing the Amavasya Tarpanam, right? So that is done on every new month. When a new month starts, Hindu months, when they start at that time also the Amavasya, that is a Tarpana, has to be done. Then on the Amavasya day obviously it has to be done. At the time of lunar eclipse it has to be done. Then on special occasions like the Pitru Paksha and so on, at that time it is done. So like this there are Madalasa, she tells her son that there are many places where the Shraddha has to be done, and through this reference in the Markandeya Purana we get to know that Shraddha is not limited only when a person dies. That's why some people they say, right, no, for 1 year we do the Shraddha and then we just leave it. That should not be done. For 1 year we do everything, every month the person did and then it's left. It should not be like that. After 1 year also we must do, every year it has to be done. Just 1 year you do, will we eat for 1 full year? No, 1 full year I eat, then till I die I'll be happy. It's not like that, right? Every day, in fact in one day, the most of our time if you see, we are just eating and sleeping, mostly eating, right? And whatever remaining time we have, and that time we do whatever is of our interest and so on. So when we only for doing some rituals also we feel that no, it's just as a duty, it is not at all so. Now basically Shraddha, it is to remember our ancestors, at least on those few days, at least maybe once a month or so, you remember your ancestors and do a small puja, that is a tarpana in front of that. So all these rules are there for Grihasthas. And finally now Madalasa is explaining all this. She tells that there are people who offer, now in the name of Shraddha we have a lot of sacrifices, right? Animal sacrifice, for example tribals and all, they will offer animals, that is flesh of animals. It can be fish, deer, rabbit and so on. But then all this is, of course, it is not limited, it is limited only for tribals or people. Now why they used to do all this is because in the forest they got only that. So therefore, and hunting was like a profession, or you can say it was like an entertainment for kings. So therefore they ended up doing that. So here we should not question and ask, okay, they offered some deer, animal, dog, this and that, should I also offer that? You offer rice and things that are available in your household easily. So it's not that we encourage animal sacrifice. Please make a note of this. Many people, they will poke fingers again. Animal sacrifice is mentioned in our Puranas, how it is it correct to kill animals and so on. It is not correct to kill animals, but then when nothing is there for them, now we know that killing animals is wrong, therefore we don't kill animals, right? But then for those who don't know and they see only animals all around them, what will they do? They cannot help it at all, right? Forget about animals. We have so many people consuming even non-veg items, right? So we cannot just go and tell someone, just because I am a vegetarian or you are a vegetarian, you cannot go and tell someone that you cannot consume. They will say, no, it is my family tradition, right? In my family everyone is eating, so I am also eating, right? So or some people you see non-vegetarians, how they speak is, no, I am not a Brahmin, so I can eat anything. It's not whether you are a Brahmin, you are a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra. Eating an animal is wrong, right? If an animal comes and eats us, just like that, one creature eating another creature. But then here we cannot poke fingers at someone or maybe claim and tell that you are wrong, what you are doing is right, what you are doing is wrong. Of course there are a few medical conditions also that are told. Consuming non-veg food is very difficult to digest and so on. That is the reason nowadays people don't consume even these people turn vegan, right? That is plant-based food and all that only they eat. They don't consume even animal products like milk and so on. So the point that I am trying to say is, if we want to argue, we can argue on anything. So then why animal sacrifice has been mentioned? Why people are consuming even non-veg food today? In spite of knowing that eating that or killing another creature is wrong, still they end up doing that, right? Or we have the restaurants and all, if you go. In fact, nowadays if you see, finding only a veg restaurant has become difficult, right? You have usually veg, non-veg, that is there. And then mostly vegetarians don't prefer going to a veg, non-veg restaurant. or you have a few restaurants that are very much famous only for non-vegetarian food. So the times are still there when people are consuming that. We cannot poke fingers at that. So, but then at animal sacrifice, how can we poke, or how can we say that our culture maybe encourage that? It's not encouragement, but then it was a sign of respect that those people had. Now tribals or Adivasis, when a person doesn't know that what that person is doing is wrong. Now if I don't know that stealing is wrong, for me stealing will be an everyday part, right? Or if I don't know that terrorism is wrong, maybe I'll go and kill everyone around. So until and unless someone is told what you're doing is wrong, only then we realize. And there is another side to the story. In spite of knowing that what we are doing is wrong also, we end up doing things. So that is a completely different thing. So in case of tribals or people like that in the forest, they used to do this animal sacrifice because that is the only thing that they found in forest. But at the same time, they had to offer something. So that was the reason they used to offer these animals and everything. Doesn't mean that we end up offering everything. So there will, now all of us, I'm not talking about the people who are here. We are all quite smart enough, intelligent enough. But there will be people who ask such foolish questions. It's not that they don't know an answer, or it's not that maybe they are going to do that, but then just to make fun of what has been mentioned, or just to poke fingers at others, such questions do come, or our own children can come and ask such questions, right? So when such questions are asked, we have to handle them very nicely. You cannot just shoo them away saying that, no, this is how it is, they used to offer, we cannot offer. They will ask why. We can also offer, then we'll also buy something from the market, we'll also buy an animal, cut it and offer. Then we don't have an answer. When we just get angry, we scold a child and let it go away. So always giving answers in the right way is very important, and we ourselves knowing the right answers is important. So here Madalasa, she says that there were also a few practices of offering animals as sacrifice, and all that is also mentioned. So depending on each one's lifestyle, you can do the Shraddha, but doing the Shraddha is very important. It should always be done in the Krishna Paksha, that is starting from the Amavasya. Now there are the Shraddhas performed even during different nakshatras. Now when you do the Shraddha in the month of Ashwin, it is said. Now those who want, you can just note it down. I will also share if you want this on the group. Now during the month of Ashwin, Paush, Ashwin is roughly, you can consider in the month of November, Ashwin, Margashirsh, Paush, Magh, Falgun. Ashwin is roughly in the month of October and November. At that time when the Shraddha is performed, that is in the Krishna Paksha, from the first day of Amavasya, if we do, that is on the Pratipada, that is on the first day, if we do, it seems that we get a lot of monetary gain. So money wise it is very auspicious. On the second day, it brings about prosperity. Third day, whatever boon we ask, we get that. Fourth day, enemies or anything that we have, the Shadrupu within us, anger, oversleep and everything, that all is killed. Fifth day, people or women especially who are facing any kind of problems, relationship problems or fertility issues, they will be benefited on that. Sixth day, you get respect from the society. Seventh day, we develop leadership qualities. It seems all this is mentioned in the Markandeya Purana. Eighth day, person becomes intelligent. Ninth day, we'll have the company of good people around. 10th day, all desires are fulfilled. 11th day, knowledge of the Vedas is attained. 12th day, whatever we do, we'll always turn out to be victorious. 13th day, Trayodashi, long life. 14th day, and ultimately Amavasya day, will have again the fulfillment of desires. So this is when in the month of Ashwin, during the Amavasya and the month of Ashwin, if we do the Shraddha, it is very auspicious. So now on each day if you do, there is some other gains. So on which day should I do? You can do it on any day, there is no problem, but usually we have the tithis. If you are doing for some ancestors, maybe for one's own parents, grandparents and so on, usually on the tithi, maybe some grandfather died on a Saptami, I will do it on the 7th day. My grandfather died on the Navami, I will do it on the 9th day. It's like that. For each of the nakshatras also, there are the Shraddha that is done. Now I don't know how it is done in other parts, but it is usually what I have come across is on the day when a person dies, that is on the tithi, that is, it can be a Ekadashi, Dwadashi, Trayodashi and so on. On that only the Shraddha is done. Usually based on the nakshatra, Shraddha is not done. Is there anyone here that you follow the nakshatra system of doing the Shraddha?
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
One other thing is also there.
Hmm.
When a Suhagan, that means married woman dies,
Hmm.
her Shraddha is performed on the Vidwan
On when it is performed?
on the 9th Tithi only, Vidwan Navami.
Avidvanavami. Okay.
Who is not a widow.
Huh. For that it is done.
Tithi,
Ah.
Shraddha is performed on the 9th day.
Okay.
Vidwan Navami. There is both things.
Okay. So for the so you don't follow the nakshatra system, right? But it's only the
No, we
tithi.
follow all other things we follow, but only for this particular case.
Okay. Okay. So, but I think all others. What about others? You follow what the tithi system only, right? Navami, Ashtami, Saptami, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So.
And then the Sumangali Navami also, Avitva Navami
Ah.
also we do.
Okay. So I think that is prevalent in Maharashtra and Karnataka maybe, right? Sanjeev ji, Sri Vidya ji were saying. So at least I have not heard of this. Maybe in South India, I don't know whether it is. At least in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, I have not heard of this. Of course, we do the Sumangali Shraddha, but that is not fixed on a particular day, right? It is done on the same day when the woman dies. That's what I have come.
Apart from that, this is the Pitru Paksha's Navami that we do.
Okay.
Extra.
Okay. Okay.
So usually on the Tithi that she died, we do.
As well. Acha, this
But
is
from that,
additional.
This is additional.
Okay. Okay.
This is additional.
Additional. Okay.
There are two things, madam.
Huh.
On the Tithi, maybe in any month, that Shraddha is done. But especially in the Shraddha Paksha,
At that time you do that specially. Okay. Okay.
Vidwan Navami is done.
Okay, okay. So now this is something new which at least I could not know. So these are a few things, especially during the Pitru Paksha Kala, we do such things. Of course, there are a few shraddhas that are done. Like there can be a few communities of people, at least maybe not amongst us, who follow the nakshatras. That is, for example, most of us we know our nakshatra. You have the Kritika nakshatra, you have the Ashwina nakshatra. Then you have Chitra, Hasta, Magha, Shlesha, Punarvasu, Adra, Vishakha, Jeshta. Like this, there are different nakshatras. I hope everyone knows your nakshatra year. Is there anyone who doesn't know his nakshatra? That is a tithi birthday that you celebrate.
Yes, we know it.
Yes. Right? So, so knowing one's nakshatra is very, very important. Why I asked is, and this was a very silly question, maybe you felt, there are people who don't know their nakshatram. It is a very sad story. It's not just that now nakshatra or tithi, rashi, such things are not associated with religion or anything. Some people very loosely have come across so many people, they say that, why should I know my tithi birthday? I know my English date. You know your English date, but what is wrong in knowing your tithi birthday? You know you are following a foreign calendar, you must know your Indian calendar also, right? And it has got nothing to do with religion. When you are born in so and so nakshatra, these are about the 27 stars that are there. They are all married to Rohini and so on. Rohini and all her sisters, Daksha's daughters. It's got nothing to do with religion. It's got something to do with geography, astronomy and so on. So therefore, knowing, especially in all of us know, we must always tell this to our children also. You see, you go to some public functions in pujas or somewhere wherein the priest asks the nakshatra, maybe only one person will know, right? And then we go and ask the parent or the mother will be standing. When the child's nakshatra comes, she will tell the child, you do namaskara, you fall down, something she will tell. So bad, the child doesn't know his own nakshatra. And it is not in the case of small children, it's even in elders also. Or nowadays a very nice idea they do is, they will write the names, nakshatra, rashi on a sheet of paper, give it to the priest, he will just read out. That also only one person, maybe the elderly person, he will write, right? Or sometimes when the priest asks what is a nakshatra, there will be only one person who tells even the nakshatra of others. This is like, it is as if someone else is telling your birthday, right? If someone asks me what's your date of birth, I will end up saying someone else is saying, no, I'm just sitting and wondering, I don't know. So it is like that. So therefore, telling our English date of birth is very, very important, but at the same time, knowing our own Rashi, our own nakshatra is very important. We all of us, we know our zodiac signs, right? That is the same Rashi that we have. When we can know our zodiac signs, why not know our Rashi? So this is something which we ourselves we know, that's because maybe our parents taught us, but the next generation also we must always feel very happy. Whether the child tells, so in a public place doesn't mean maybe in a school the child goes and tells, no, I am born in so and so date, my Rashi is this, it is not like that. There let the child tell his English date of birth, but then knowing the Rashi especially, not just because someone asks in a family function or so, but for our own knowledge we must know. They're the child, and it's not only for young children, even for elders also. They just are wide with their mouths wide open. They're just sitting and wondering, I don't know what's my Raksha. It is so funny to look at such people. So therefore, whenever we know when we can say our date of birth, we can also say the year of birth, date of birth. We must always know our nakshatra, tithi, and so on. So when we say our date of birth, like if I say in my case, if I say no, I'm born on 23rd December 2000, this is my English date of birth. I can also say that I am born with the star. I have born in the Vrishchika Rashi, that is there in the Margashirsha month, and my zodiac sign is Capricorn. Capricorn, after Sagittarius, next is Capricorn. I am born in a nakshatram of Anuradha nakshatram. Like this. This is something which I just told you mine. So this is something very basic, right? And beyond this, nobody asks us something really deep. But these are all basics which we must always know. And some people feel that it is associated with religion. Why should we celebrate our Tithi birthday? You need not celebrate your Tithi birthday, but at least you should know what is your Tithi. Yes, Sanjeev ji.
Actually, that is too far off. People don't know their Kul and Gotra also.
Sorry?
The Kul, which Kul you belong to.
Cool, yeah, family, yes.
And also they don't know.
Yes, that's
But
so bad.
It is quite far off, I feel.
Correct. Even you see, even during the Shraddha also, when they tell us to tell the names of 2 or 3 ancestors, people sit and wonder, right? We don't even remember our own father. At that time we get confused remembering our own grandparents' names also. Such is a sad story, and then we feel proud of so many other things. I know this, I know that. We cannot even remember simple things at all. So these are all things which we must always know. Srividya ji, want to say something?
Yeah. Sriram wanted to tell his nakshatram.
Tell Sriram. What's your nakshatra? Ashlesha nakshatram. Very nice. Sriram, what's your date of birth?
What is your date of birth?
Birthday.
January 14th.
January 14th. January 14th. Very, very auspicious day.
That is Pongal Day.
Pongal Day. Makara Jyoti Day.
Yeah.
Very, very auspicious. Makara Sankranti.
Also born on same day.
Oh,
So he is
his name is Peelam Aditya, that's why, because it was Pongal Day he was born.
Very nice. So you know the child 5 or 6 years old, he knows his nakshatra, Ashlesha nakshatram. Very nice. So the point is, we must always know our nakshatras in detail. It has been mentioned in the Markandeya Purana. So this all Madalasa is telling her son Alarka. Further, yeah. Sorry? Male Baksham time. That is roughly in the month of Ganpati.
Before the
Navaratri starts. Yes, that is that. Yes. Now this Malya Paksha Shraddha or Pitru Paksha as we call, that also only in few households it is done. Few households it is not done. We do the annual Shraddha. Few households it's not done. Like my own example, if you take in my household, it was never being done till my grandfather was alive. That's my grandfather used to not do the Malya Paksha Shraddha. It was not a tradition, maybe they didn't follow. But once my grandfather passed away, my father started doing the Malya Paksha Shraddha. About 1-2 years back. So like this, you can consult a priest. So there are many reasons, no, it is not done in my family, so I should not do. If it is not done in your family, you can very much start. You can start doing for your ancestors. So there can be many reasons why a person does not do, that is annual Shraddha they used to do, but not the Pitru Paksha Shraddha. So that sometimes people don't do, or it is like some traditions follow, some traditions don't follow. Therefore, if it is not there in your family, you can also start doing that. That will be over and above the annual Shraddha that has to be done. Okay. So you see why so much is being stressed upon the Shraddha, Nakshatra, Tithi and so on. Most of the Puranas, if you see, talks about Shraddha. More than birth, Shraddha rituals are talked. So this itself shows that doing the Shraddhas is very, very important. It's like a Thanksgiving. We celebrate in foreign lands, right? People maybe you visited or you stay there, you have an occasion. Shyamalaji, maybe you will be aware if you stay there. You have something called Thanksgiving, right? We celebrate. So wherein for even the people around us and for the things that we are thankful, we celebrate a day, Thanksgiving, right? So this ancestors or when we do the Shraddha, yes, it's actually like that. Wherein because of all our ancestors, today I am alive, today we are alive, and my future generation also. If we want our future generations to respect us, we must surely respect our ancestors. If the child doesn't see his parents respecting his grandparents, the child will never respect us also. This, none of us we see that. He just say, no, I'm not, why should I take care of my parents? They will take care of themselves. You're always remember, our child is seeing the same thing, he will also do the same thing with us. At that time we expect, no, my son should take care of me. There is no guarantee at all. So of course, now even if you take care of your parents, there is no guarantee that your child will take care of you. But then children are always imitators. So doing the Shraddha, doing all the rituals, taking care of our own ancestors is very, very important. So Madalasa is also explaining the same things to Alarka. Now further she starts talking and she tells different places where a Shraddha should be done. It can be done in a house. Usually it should be done in a house only, but of course today we have certain centers where you can do the Shraddha and so. Now finally Madalasa, she advises her advises her son on different aspects, and finally now after he attains a lot of knowledge, he got married. And Ritudwaja had also grown old, and Alarka, he was crowned the next king. And at that time Madalasa, she gave Alarka a small ring and told that this ring will teach you how you have to administer, how you have to rule over your kingdom. You always keep the ring with you. She blessed Alarka, and she also left with her husband Ritudwaja Madalasa go to the forest for Vanaprastha-ashrama, Sannyasa-ashrama, that is to retire from life. Now after this Alarka, he became the king. He was a very just king. He had many sons. He followed the dharma, four pathway, that is dharma, artha, kama, and finally in order to attain moksha. Then it is said that he had everything. He was blessed with everything. He had a very beautiful kingdom, wife, sons, all kinds of luxuries, but still he did not have peace of mind. So he was never happy, and he felt that he was missing something in his life. And at that time his brother Subahu, now we know Madalasa Ritudwaja had 4 sons, one of them was Subahu. Alarka's brother Subahu comes there, and he saw now the Subahu, he was an ascetic, right? Now the first 3 sons had become sages. So looking at the luxuries and the kingdom and everything of Alarka, he got attracted towards his kingdom. And he also wanted to become the king now. Now he wanted to change his life. From a sannyasi's life, he wanted to become a king. He goes and he meets the king of Kashi. And Kashi said that Kashi Raja king. Now Subahu did not directly go and approach his brother saying that even I want this kingdom. He did not say that. Through the king of Kashi, he goes and tells that I want to attain this kingdom. So the king of Kashi sends a message to Alarka that your brother has developed this desire, and if it is not done, then we'll have to fight a war. Alarka says, I'm not just going to give my kingdom. My father has made me the king, and all the other 3 brothers, they have become sages. So now just randomly no one can come and claim the kingdom. And even if you just are maybe threatening me by telling war and everything, I'm not going to give up. And what happened is that he took war started. Subahu, brother of Alarka and the king of Kashi, they attacked Alarka. And at that time, so it was a very massive attack, and finally Subahu got over the kingdom. Alarka lost his kingdom. Now Alarka, anyhow, he was feeling a bit depressed. He felt that he was missing something, and now he had lost his kingdom also. So still he started developing a lot of sorrow. He felt very depressed, and at that time he remembered the ring that was given to him by his mother. And he opened the ring and he found a letter inside that. Now rings were quite big in those times, so he found a letter in that, and that letter there was written that when you lose everything, at that time you give up the company of people around, that is your advisors, ministers and everything, and you join the company of learned sages. So give up the company of all royal people around, you go and join the company of learned sages. Alarka read this message and he went and sought the help of sages. He went and took the help of Lord Dattatreya. Dattatreya told that, you tell me what is your problem and so on. So Alarka then tells the entire story that is there. And my elder brother came, he wants to grab the kingdom, I was blessed with all luxuries, still I am feeling very depressed and so on. He tells this entire story. So at that time Dattatreya, and now Alarka says that I don't want anything in life, I don't want my luxuries, let my brother take his kingdom, but at least I want to be peaceful. That also I am losing my peace of mind, so you please help me. So Dattatreya says that attachment is a thing that is causing you a lot of trouble. So therefore don't be attached to anything. Of course we will be attached to our house, we will be attached to our family members, all that is there, but to one level it is fine. Over attachment is surely going to lead to problems. I have one dress but still I want 10 dresses. That's where the problem arises. I don't have place to keep my clothes, right? I have one shoe, still I want 10 shoes, so that every day I can wear one shoe. There is no shoe shelf to keep the shoes. So this is where problem arises. So attachment is not wrong, but over attachment is surely going to lead to troubles. I'm just giving you few examples to make the concept clear. So like this, Dattatreya starts advising yoga dhyaya, about different yoga paths and so on, to Alarka, and he tells the everyday routine of a yogi doing hatha yoga. Hatha yoga is physical asanas, then a lot of meditation, pranayama, studying the Vedas, controlling the senses. So all these different advices, everything he gives. And further he also tells us about the Omkara mantra, AUM, Om, the Pranava mantra, Omkara mantra, everything is advised to Alarka. So like this, Brahmajnanam, this is called Brahmajnanam, is ultimate knowledge. This was told by Dattatreya to Alarka. And now finally Alarka says that Dattatreya, he falls at the feet of Dattatreya saying that all my ignorance, Ajnanam has gone away. Now I will do everything, I'll always be happy, I've attained the highest form of knowledge, I've understood what is yoga and so on. So therefore I must always lead on the right path now. Saying so, Alarka returns back. He goes to his own place and sees everything is happy around him. He experiences happiness. Now there are a few things that are told here. Dattatreya tells. Now I don't know how far this is true. I'm just going through this. But it is said that now Dattatreya tells that whenever a person's maybe death is near, at that time it seems that they see a lot of things. Now this is quite interesting, but maybe now this we have not heard from someone, because nobody knows when someone will die, right? But Dattatreya tells all this to Alarka. What is that? He says that whenever a person is not able to see the moon, or is not able to see in goddess Arundhati is a star in the sky, at that time, or especially maybe, so ultimately the meaning is, usually you see when people are about to die, when nothing, no ailment, nothing. I'm not talking about accidental deaths or maybe sudden deaths, it's not like that. It is like maybe a normal person out of old age only, maybe last 2 or 3 months, the person will be very restless, right? He doesn't know what he's doing, he will not eat properly, the person cannot see properly. So like this, even in his everyday, though the person does all his everyday activities, he might be a bit slow, he tends to forget everything. So when such things come in, it is said that we must understand that the death of such a person is true. That is, a death of such a person is near. And it is said that a person who looks at the sky, it seems that for a person who is about to die within a year, the sun, now when all of us we look at the sun, we feel the sun very bright, right? In fact, we cannot see the sun directly with our eyes. But it seems that when the death is very much near, when a person feels that he is about to die, that's roughly the period is given within a year, the sun, it seems that it appears like a ball of fire. It does not have that shining aspect at all, it will just be fire, it seems. And while a person is passing stools or urine, even when he is using the washroom, it is said that even in that excreta also, the person sees silver and gold, it seems. Now all this, I don't know how far it is true, but all this Dattatreya tells Alarka, and he says that, so these are all signs that death is near. So through this, what is signified is that just as for birth, about 9 months it takes for development, but in the case of death also, these are all stages which are told. So nothing is out of magic. It's not that birth takes place about 9 months for the child, for the fetus to develop properly. Death takes place suddenly, one fine day, breathing stops. We know only that. Breathing stopped, the person has died. We are able to understand only that much, but it seems that the death process starts quite early. But the only difference is why we cannot believe, or why it's difficult to believe, and where we don't know about such things is, nobody can predict death, whereas all of us, we can predict birth, right? 9 months, okay, maybe the date we cannot predict, the exact date, but okay, 9 months, maybe mother conceives in January, she will give birth in October, September, October. We can perceive this. so the nearing date is near, or there will be some pain, labor pain that starts. Like this we can make assumptions, but in the case of death nobody can do that. So therefore, but still Dattatreya tells that if such signs come in, we have to be very very careful, and we must know that death is always happened. Now let me tell you one thing, we need not be afraid of all this. There can be even absent-mindedly also we can see, one fine day we look at the sun, it doesn't appear shiny, it will be like a ball of fire. That doesn't mean that the person will die surely after 1 year. It's not like that. These are all assumptions. So mainly what Dattatreya tries to tell here is that life slowly doesn't seem to be normal. You look at something very nice, still you feel, oh, it is of no value. Or you are just leading a life, but then you cannot hear properly, you cannot see properly, hands are not working properly, we tend to forget. So all such things can happen. So that slowly means that the person slowly is about to retire from life. He has turned out to be very very old. So these are all a few things that Dattatreya tells that you have to be very very careful. That is, these are all like traps which will maybe pull us, will keep us in it. So we have to be very very careful. You attain very excellent knowledge that I've told you of a yogi and so on, so that you can always be happy. Listening to all this, Alarka, he goes back to Kashi, and there his brother Subahu is also there, and he readily goes and tells the king of Kashi that you want my kingdom, you please take that, enjoy its luxuries, you give it to my brother Subahu, already is ruling there, you can give it, it is my permission, you agree, there will be no legal action that will be taken by me, nothing. And now this king of Kashi is shocked. He says that like, I wanted to fight a still tough war. We just had a very small war, and in between only you gave up, you saw your ring given by your mother and so on. So it was a very small war. I wanted to fight a proper war and win over. I don't want you to just give me, I should win over that properly in the rightful way, and then I will take it. And he says that this is not the right conduct of a Kshatriya and so on. But still Alarka says that no, I've gained a lot of knowledge, only Brahman is truth, only the Supreme is truth, so I've controlled all my senses. I want to attain perfection in yoga, I don't want anything else. And further he masters Yoga Shastram fully. And, what happened is that Subahu, now this brother Alarka's brother Subahu, he was actually an ascetic. He only wanted the kingdom, luxuries, he was attracted. But now he also felt that no, now my brother is giving everything. Though I had developed the desire to attain the kingdom, now I also don't want that. You only take it. So therefore the kingdom of Alarka came under the control of the king of Kashi. Now this king of Kashi is surprised. He tells that, first of all, I did not have any enmity with this Alarka. I developed enmity only because of you. Only because you came to me and asked that you want your brother's kingdom. Now after doing so much, you are saying that even you don't want this kingdom, what is the use? And at that time the Subahu says that my younger brother Alarka, all we three first elder brothers, we were all yogis. Only our younger brother, he was indulged on this, in all this kingdom life, luxuries and everything, householder's life. And I have come here, it was just like a leela that had to be performed by me, so that Alarka realizes his true potential. He knows where he wants to be in life. So I just had to come and say that I want this kingdom, I went to seek your help. So all this was just done to make Alarka realize that his true potential is to become an expert in Yoga Shastra. So therefore, and to come out of this over attachment, because we felt that Alarka he was a very good king, but then he was getting over attached in the luxuries, and in spite of having everything also, he was losing his peace of mind. And this is not magic. All of us also, even though there are a few days in all of our lives wherein in spite of having everything, there will be no problem, no sorrow, but still we feel sad, right? I don't know what is happening, but still I'm feeling sad. I don't feel like getting up, I don't feel like doing anything, I don't feel like speaking to anyone, I don't feel like eating anything. Why it happens? After some time, of course, it becomes okay. So there are a few questions which are still unanswered. So like this Alarka also, though he had everything, he did not have the peace of mind, and that is the reason Subahu says that I had to do all this. The king of Kashi says that you have saved your brother, now you do something to save me also. Why should I be trapped in the cycle of birth and death, in the cycle of luxuries and everything? So he also gives this jnana. So Subahu, he was a very learned man, he gives jnanam, he gives knowledge to this king of Kashi. And finally Alarka, what he does is that when he got the news that Subahu, his brother, is also not taking the kingdom, king of Kashi, he returns back. He says, I don't want your new kingdom, I am happy in my own kingdom, taking care of my subjects. So now Alarka says, now my kingdom I am also renouncing, my brother also doesn't want, king of Kashi has also given up. So he installs his elder son as a king. He goes to the forest to practice Yoga Shastram and finally attains moksha. Now further what is seen, let us have a look. Now till here, now if you remember, Markandeya Purana is a conversation of Jaimini and the four birds. So the birds are telling all this story of self-knowledge, moksha and all that through the stories of how this Alarka got moksha. Now Jaimini, he thanked the birds till here. He said, thank you have told me everything, but now I have still some more questions that are there, which till now I have not received any answers. I want you to answer that. The birds said, okay, you ask. So the first question of Jaimini was, how did this universe come into being? What will happen during Pralaya, that is when the universe ends? How did all the creatures, deities, gods, everyone, how are they born? How did the different Manvantaras arrive? I want to know about all these things, you please tell me. Then they start with the story of the creation. They say that Lord Brahma, he was born. Then the 4 Vedas, 18 Puranas came from his 4 mouths. Then the Saptarishis were created by Brahma. Then, now this story is about the Puranas. How Puranas itself were discovered, that's being told here. So it is said that the Saptarishis, they took all the Vedas and Puranas. They studied all that. They took it from Brahma under their possession. Later said Chavana, he got the Puranas from sage Bhrigu. He read out its contents to all the sages. So that's how this Purana knowledge is passed on. One sage like Roma Harshana reads it to a group of sages in the Naimisharanya forest. Then this Chavana reads out to a few sages. So like this it passes on through oral tradition. Further to Daksha, these Puranas were told. Daksha told all the Puranas to Markandeya. And like this, this practice of listening to the Puranas is said that one who listens to the stories of the Puranas is capable of destroying all the sins of a man. So therefore, this Puranic knowledge, that which all of us also, of course, we are saying only 10% you can consider, but still this Puranic knowledge is very secret knowledge and we have to be very blessed to hear this. So this, the birds tell Jaimini, and further they tell that. Now the next question that you had, so this is how the world's process of creation started and so on. All the people were very happy. In fact, the entire creation was like an egg shaped. From an egg, everything was born. Brahma himself, he was born first, then all the creation, the entire process started, and that's how one by one everything started building up. Now next, there were a few questions which were asked by Jaimini. Then he says that, okay, if everything is born, then how come there are a few qualities that are born? Like for example, it's not just a physical form is born, right? Now it's not that all of us have just a physical body. That alone is not enough. So then in the course of time, that's the reason we have something called the Stone Age man or early man, right? Wherein he could not speak, he could not express, he did not feel that he should have some qualities in him. Today we are all developed human beings. It's not that we just have some skin and flesh and blood, right? We can express ourselves, we can speak, we have emotions, we have feelings. So Brahma later felt that just creating a piece of flesh is not enough. A person should react, person should interact with 4 people, person should be able to guide others, person should have feelings. So just having a physical body is not enough. So human beings, when he started creating human beings, he thought about all this. Even for animals also, though a few qualities were not there in animals like human beings, still he also gave them the power of sound and so on, because that was very, very important. So the next aspect that is there is when the universe was created, first step is the physical form of everything was created, but later even the need was felt to create feelings, emotions and so on. That is the reason we all have feelings, love, truth, expressions. Just by looking at our facial features, body language also we can make out, right? So it's quite similar to that. All this was also created by the Creator himself. So the birds answer this. Next, they tell about Brahma's lifespan. What is Brahma's lifespan? Today time is up. We will stop here. So in the previous session, we were looking at Markandeya Purana and we had stopped at the birth of Lord Brahma or Brahma's lifespan. So here, now next the question is being asked. Jaimini, this is a conversation between Jaimini and the bird, sage Jaimini, and Markandeya is answering all this. Now next what happened is, now this question answer, now till here Jaimini and the birds, they were having this conversation. Now next what happens is, there is another person called Kratuski. His name is Kraustuki, sorry. Kraustuki is the name of this person, and he directly he goes and approaches Markandeya. And now next the conversation starts between Kraustuki and Markandeya, and at that time the lifespan of Brahma is questioned, and Brahma is the creator of this universe, he is the origin. And now the duration, he says that 1 day and night of our earth, that is 1 day and night, is of about 30 muhurtas, it seems. Now lifespan of Brahma is roughly 100 years, 100 heavenly years. So this way, if you say 100 heavenly years, you can say 1 day of us human day is like, 1 year that's 365 years in this earth is equal to 1 day of Brahma. This is what has been told. Like this, the span of one Brahma is for 100 years. So this is the explanation that has been given. Further now, of every yuga, the time period has been mentioned. Now Satya Yuga has about roughly, all this is in the heaven years, okay, not earth years. 4,800 years Satya Yuga, God years or Brahma's years. 3,600 Brahma's years. 2,400 Brahma's years is the Dwapara Yuga. I repeat, Satya Yuga 4,800, Treta Yuga 3,600, Dwapara Yuga 2,400, and Kali Yuga will be 1,200. All this is Brahma's years. Brahma's years are there, not the human years. Human years, roughly Kali Yuga is more than 4,28,000 something. We are just 1/4 is just done. So next now, Kraustuki, this person, next question that he had in his mind was, how did Brahma start the process of creation? What did he do exactly? And for this, again, it is the same process of creation that we have seen in the other Puranas. He gets up from Pralaya, that is at the end of the world. When the world had ended at that time, he gets up and then he finds everything is just water. All around him there is just water, and he feels the need to create. So first thing, that is the reason why till date earth, if you consider, it is still almost, I think 70 to 75%, I think 72 we say, right, in geography, it is about water, right? 72%, 70 to 75% it is water. So, and remaining is the land mass that is there. So everything earlier was 100% water, only 30% till now is the creation that has taken place. And today again, with global warming and everything around, you see that's the reason why most of our glaciers and everything is melting. So again, we are going back to the earlier times wherein everything was still water. We must prevent that, otherwise the 30% land mass also is going to vanish soon. So in order to save our lives, we must do this. So therefore everything was going on this way, wherein he started first creating the natural elements, then he felt that animals should be created, then the time for human beings started, and then finally he said, I have created man, but to increase the lineage, even a woman is also equally important. That's why he started creating couples. Manu and his wife, they were the first man and first woman, Manu and Shatarupa, and that's how the entire creation starts. Then Daksha was born, Daksha Prajapati, different Prajapatis were born, Saptarishis were born. That's how the process of creation starts. Further, Rudras, 11 Rudras, as we know, Rudras were born. Rudras are all forms of Shiva. Then you have little reference about Jambu Dvipa. Jambu Dvipa we have already seen in the islands that were there. We have already seen in all the previous Puranas, so I am not repeating that. Jambu Dvipa, in that we have our Indian subcontinent, and in that we have this country, India, that is there. Now of course, when we say Indian subcontinent, it is not similar to today's India. It will also include parts of Pakistan, Afghanistan and so on, even Bangladesh. So such things, that is Indian subcontinent, not today's geographical India. It includes, before partition, the India that was there. Then we have the origin of the Ganga river that has been mentioned. So Markandeya mentions this. So mainly river Ganga, he says that, Markandeya says, river Ganga originates from a place called Dhruvadhara, and that is in Gangotri. It is related with Lord Narayana. And mainly this river Ganga, it falls on the Sumeri mountain in the Himalayas. It gets distributed into 4 different streams. and one stream that flows towards a forest. That forest is called Chaitra Ratha forest. That stream is called the Sita Ganga. Even today, if you go to the Himalayan rivers, I think when you do the Char Dham Yatra, I think you find all such places. You have the Sita Ganga, such places wherein the local travel guides, they will tell you about all this. Then it goes to a place wherein it falls on the Gandhamadana mountain, that is known as Alaknanda river. That's again a tributary of Ganga. Like this, wherever the Ganga goes about, you have different tributaries of the Ganga flowing in. And then finally, Alaknanda, after submerging with the Manasarovara, she enters the Mahadri Himalayas, where her force was so great, or you can say, like when she had to be brought down on earth, her force was very fast. So that's when Lord Shiva holds her in his jata, and he releases river Ganga at the request of sage Bhagiratha. Further, different streams, that's the reason why till date river Ganga has got different tributaries. Further, so this is just about a slight reference of Ganga has been mentioned here. Further, we have the significance of Bharatavarsha, that is about India also, little roughly is very in a very small way the reference has been given. What is that? Let's have a look. Kraustuki, this person, he asked Markandeya, you tell me something about Bharatavarsha. Markandeya replied that Bharatavarsha is surrounded by ocean on all three sides, Arabian Sea, Indian Ocean, Bay of Bengal, and the people who live towards the east, in the eastern part, they are called as Kirata. It seems that people living on the eastern side, they are called as Kirata. People living towards the west are Yavana, and the central part mainly of Bharatavarsha, it is occupied by people belonging to all the classes, Brahmana, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudras. Now mainly why this has been said so, now today's times it is not like that. Entire India is full of people belonging to all classes, but earlier, especially in towards the east and west, if you see, you have the coastal area, right? So there used to be certain tribes of people who lived there. Like for example, even today, if you go to the rural coastal areas, you see mainly fishermen or people who are delving into industries or occupations that are closely related to the sea, maybe fisheries and something like that. So therefore they had a special tribe that was there, Kiratas, Yavanas, they used to be called, because they were engaged in such occupations that was associated with the sea. Whereas in the central part now, you had all kinds of people, because it is only land mass, so you had to do some teaching activities, you had Brahmins, you had to take care of the agricultural part or the business part, you had Vaishyas, then service sector, sanitation, health, that is needed everywhere, you needed the Shudras, services of all kinds, and to protect. Now the main part is there, in the central part of India, you have other states, right, in the boundaries of all states have to be protected, so therefore you need the Kshatriyas also for protection. That is the reason you see that Rama ruled in Ayodhya, which is in the central part of India. Krishna ruled, or Krishna was born in Vrindavana, Mathura, which is again in the central part of India. Central, or you can say, though it's in the north side, we say it's not too much, not in the Himalaya mountains, not too high in the north, it's quite in the central part. So that is because mainly Kshatriyas, Yadavas, they were all born based in the middle area, that is there. And that is the reason why most of the, apart from a very few kings like Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj and so on, we don't have that too. He also was quite in the central part of Maharashtra, not very close to the sea. So therefore towards the coastal areas, that's, you don't have much of kings and everything who are there on the coastal parts, right? Or even the foreign invaders, only they come through the coastal parts. So this is the reason why most of the kings, if you see, and the Kshatriya Dharma, it's very much less towards the south side. You have much that is there towards the north side only. So this is the reason, mainly because in the north you had or in the central part of India you had a lot of kings ruling in. Of course in the south side also you had a few native kings like the Cholas, Pandyas and so on, but they all belonged to their own religion only. So mainly if you see, they didn't have a lot of fights with the Mughals and so on. You do have Mughal invasion that takes place, but maybe we don't study that much in detail. That can also be a reason. But usually the invasions and everything that takes place in central India, because it is easy to attack there as there is only land mass. Whereas on all the other sides we have the ocean, so it's quite difficult to attack in a place. The same thing has been mentioned in the Markandeya. Okay. Further, there are about 7 mountains that are there in the central part, most famous being the Vindhyas, Himalayas and so on. Then there are many rivers flowing in, like the Ganga, Saraswati, Sindhu. Sindhu is today's Indus. Saraswati river is no longer seen. Chandrabhaga, Yamuna, Iravati, Gautami is today's Godavari. So like this, there are many rivers that flows in. And there is also the Govardhana. There is a place called Govardhana that's famous for the Govardhana Avatara of Krishna. So like this, Markandeya is telling about the main incidents, the main places, important places, rivers and mountains of Bharatavarsha. Further, little reference of the Kurma Avatara is also mentioned here. So Kraustuki, this person, he asks Markandeya that how does the Lord Sri Hari, how does he live in the form of a tortoise, in the form of a Kurma? So it is said that, and this is the reason why in most of our houses also we keep a tortoise, right? Does anyone have a tortoise at your house? A metal one or a copper one?
Glass one we have kept.
Glass.
Yes, actually.
A glass.
On the top it is glass and below it is like metal.
Okay.
And there's some yantra inside.
Correct. And some
I
people,
have.
yeah. So some people, even
Yes,
you
I
have
have.
that copper one or something, you will always keep it in water. I don't think a glass one you keep it in water, but the copper or a brass one that you get in puja stores especially, that people keep it in water. It is a good sign, and mainly it is after this Kurma Avatara. Usually it is to be kept facing the east direction. There are different directions that are told, but in the Markandeya Purana usually it is mentioned that it should be kept facing the east direction, and that is because it resembles Lord Vishnu only, and it is a good sign. So that's the reason why we keep the tortoise in our houses. And mainly why this tortoise has been mentioned is, you have this reference in the Gita also, wherein keeping a tortoise in our house, one is for prosperity. Second, there is a very beautiful reason that has been told is meaning to control our senses. Now a tortoise, if you see, in times of danger, what it does, it goes inside the cell, inside its shell, right? And its shell, I think a few people, we also have tortoise as pets also at our houses. So if you ever touch the shell of a tortoise, it's very, very hard, right? So let anything happen, even if a storm comes also, nothing, it's almost equal to a stone. So nothing can happen to the tortoise. So just as it contracts itself, when the right time comes, it withdraws itself from the outer world and it stays inside its shell. Similarly, the soul also, a person should control and go inwards, it seems, to realize his inner soul. So this is a very beautiful example that Krishna, Kurmonganiva Sarvashaha, this is the reference that Krishna gives in the Gita also. Therefore, keeping a tortoise at our house is like a reminder to us, saying that, of course, all of you, you have your senses, you have your attachments, everything, you have relationships, you have duties, but at the same time, be aware of what is there, be aware of the reality. Don't get too much swayed away in this worldly material life, otherwise it is going to be full of problems only. Like we were discussing yesterday also in the last session, that is having 10 clothes and having 2 clothes. You already have 2 clothes, you know you have many clothes, but still you go and buy still 10 more clothes and come, what is the use, right? So this is over attachment. I have 1 car, but still I need 1 more car. I have 2 houses, still I need 3 houses. At one time we are going to stay in 1 house, that too in 1 room only, right? So therefore it has to be. So this is the difference between attachment and over attachment. A tortoise tries to teach this, wherein it withdraws itself from the outer world at the right time. So therefore keeping a tortoise is very, very important. Further, there is a conversation between Kraustuki and Markandeya, wherein he asks about a question of a Manvantara. Now what is this? Now we all know the Manvantara, Vaivaswata Manvantara, that is the current Manvantara. Like this, there are different Manvantaras that are there. Above you have a story of the Swarochisha Manvantara. Now what is that? So Markandeya tells a story for this. He tells that there was a river, the river's name was Varuna. Now in this river Varuna, there lived a Brahmin, and one day the Brahmin had a guest who came to his house. Very nicely the Brahmin treated the guest, and later this Brahmin came to know that this person who had come, he was not an ordinary human being. He was a bit, you can say, like magician kind of a thing. Magician, or mainly people who have knowledge of this astrology, and more than astrology, should we call it as siddhas. If you go to South India especially, you meet a lot of these siddhas. You go to Tiruvannamalai and places like that, you can see a lot of siddhas over there. So they'll have some, or sadhus you can call, they'll have some divinity or religious powers in them. And so like this person also, he knew special mantras, medicinal herbs and everything. He had knowledge, and the Brahmin, he could make out that my guest is not an ordinary person. And he too, like he had traveled, it seems, the guest had traveled the whole world with the help of these mantras. So now this, if someone comes and tells, I have a spell, I can take you to any part of the world, we'll also be amazed, right? We also want to go with such a person. So this Brahmin, he was quite impressed, and he said, no, I also want to learn this, and you also teach me this mantra, you give me all these medicinal herbs, I will also travel around the world just like you do. Now what happened is that the guest agreed, and he applied some medicinal herb, it seems, on this Brahmin's legs. And after this, Brahmin went to the Himalayas. And while he was moving about in the Himalayas, he was very happy that from wherever he was staying, from there he left, and now he is in the Himalayas. So while wandering here and there, it seems that the solution or the medicinal herb, it lost its effect. Now it was effective only for some time. Once the effect of the medicine was gone, it seems that the person, this Brahmin, he could not start walking at all. He became still. His legs could not move at all. So now he was in a worry. He started looking here and there, and he found numerous. He was in the Himalayas, so there were a lot of apsaras, gandharvas, and everything. And he was very happy. So around the Himalayas, the climate is also quite good. It's cold, and you have all divine beings also there. The apsaras, gandharvas, they were singing, dancing. So it was a very happy atmosphere. But still, he thought, he was very happy there. But still, he thought that no, now I have to go back. I've come here to the Himalayas just because it was a wish. Now I have to go back to where I live. So, but now he could not move, because now that the effect of the medicine has gone, he could not even move now. His legs were not moving at all. So he became very sad, and at that time an Apsara, her name was Varudini, she came there and she saw him worrying, and she asked him, who are you, what happened, and so on. So firstly the Brahmin did not tell anything, and then again she asked. So at that time the Brahmin counter questioned her, and she said, he asked her, who are you, who's your husband, what you're doing here, and so on. And after asking this, he told his story that I've come from so and so place, and now I'm not able to return home because of the solution that I had applied to my legs. The effect has been over. So Varudini, this was the name of the Apsara. She introduced herself saying that I'm an Apsara, and now I have developed deep love towards you. Now Apsaras, their whole work is this only. They are responsible for attracting and distracting people. So she requested the Brahmin that no, I want to stay with you. You don't go to your house, you stay here with me. And if you do this, you are going to enjoy everything in life, she tells. And but now the Brahmin, he told Varudini that I am a Brahmin, and I have studied all the scriptures and everything, philosophy, and I don't want to get attracted. I don't want to be trapped in this. I don't want to be all these pleasures and everything. It's just for a temporary time. I know all this, and then I've read so many books wherein all these apsaras come, divert us, and then go away. So I'm not at all interested at all. So it's ultimately later it's going to result only in sorrow. But this apsara, she was not satisfied, and she threatened him, saying that if you don't do this, I will end up my life. The Brahmin still did not agree, and he started worshipping Agni, because Agni Deva is the lord of karma. That is the reason why we do everything in midst of Agni, right? Be it a wedding or be it any ritual that we do, we need Agni, right? That's the reason we burn the lamp also every day. So whatever we do, we keep Agni as a sakshi, as a witness. So therefore this Agni was there. This Brahmin prayed to Agni, and he says that he prays to Agni Bhagwan and says that I need your blessings, I want to go home. And saying so, what happened is, also all this was happening and he was praying. Now next what happened is, Agni became pleased by the Brahmin's devotion, and Agni entered his body. So entered the Brahmin's body. So now Agni has entered. Agni is very bright. So the Brahmin's body also started shining due to the brightness of Agni. And when Varudini saw this, she became more fascinated by the Brahmin's look. Earlier also she had fallen in love, but now because he had become more bright, she was infatuated, and the Brahmin still something. He did not want to stay at all with Varudini, because he knew that these apsaras are meant for causing trouble only. And later what he did was that now Agni had blessed him, and therefore he could now start walking. So Brahmin, he started proceeding towards his home. And at that time Varudini, it seems that Varudini was very sad. She saw the Brahmin going home, but she wanted to stay with him. and this Brahmin was not ready to listen at any cost. So now what she did is that she remembered some past story, and in that it had seemed that she had insulted Gandharva, it seems, earlier, and the Gandharva's name was Kali. This is not similar, not the Kali goddess. There was a Gandharva who was named as Kali, and Kali was seeing all this that was happening between the Brahmin and Varudini. He also saw that Varudini is being very sad, this Apsara, that the Brahmin is not waiting for her. So this was the right time, because earlier Varudini had insulted the Gandharva Kali. Kali took, he thought that this is the right time to take revenge. So let me go and speak with this Varudini. And he disguised himself as a Brahmin, and he did not want this Apsara to know his real identity. So he replied that, what you want, what are you doing? He asked just like a normal person, because he found her worrying. So she told that, no, I just need your protection, that's it, I'm very sad. This Brahmin whom I want to spend my life, he went away, and so on. So now what happened is that mainly this Varudini, she had, you can say, she wanted some sensual pleasure to happen. So therefore this Gandharva knew that if you just try to divert this Apsara a bit, she is going to be very happy. So he tries to make her happy, and in time what happens is that they have a relationship amongst them, and in time this Varudini, she becomes pregnant, and she gives birth to a child called Swarochi. The original Brahmin has gone back home. He is proceeding towards home, and this Gandharva Kali, he made this Apsara pregnant. They have a relationship because he had also assumed the form of a Brahmin. So Varudini feels that this is quite similar to the Brahmin whom I was infatuated by, and thus a child is born to her, Swarochi. Now this Swarochi, this child was very extraordinary, and he had learnt all the scriptures, everything. He was quite, you can say, very intelligent. And at that time, this Swarochi, this girl, she saw another girl near the Mandara mountain. Mandara mountain is also one of the mountains in the Himalayas. And Swarochi, she went to the girl and asked what happened and so on. And this girl says that my name is Manorama. Now this Swarochi, originally in some references it is given that she is a girl, but then looking at the name, but in some references it is mentioned that it's a boy. So because later this Swarochi, she marries this girl, so surely it has to be a boy only, and this is not a time wherein the same sex marriage and everything takes place. So just make a note if you want, because as we have seen in the Puranic stories, there can be a bit of controversies like this, like the names also can be unique and so on, so therefore we cannot make out much. But this Swarochi, let us consider for now to be a man, and she ends up, that girl who was in trouble, she introduces herself as Manorama, and she was feeling very sad. So this Swarochi, he goes and asks her what happened, and she says that I made fun of a sage who was doing some penance near Kailas, and therefore the sage cursed us. And now what happened is that I had two more friends with me. They were inflicted with some disease like TB, leprosy, such disease they got, and I was not spared. I was given this curse that you will be chased by a ferocious demon. So demon is chasing me till then. So now that you have come, you have to protect me from this demon. So I'm going to give you a weapon. So this girl, she tells that I'll give you this weapon. He tells Swarochi, the child of Varudini, and you protect me. Swarochi took this weapon, and at that time the demon comes there. Now what happened is that now this Swarochi, he had studied all the scriptures, so he knew that the curse of any sage will never go waste, right? So therefore he was a bit confused. He says that if I try to kill this demon, that means the sage, what he had cursed, that will go wrong, because the sage has cursed that this demon is continuously going to chase you. So what he did is, the Manorama was a girl and the demon had come to chase. So this Swarochi said, no, I have to respect sages. So he did not attack the demon at all. He allowed the demon to get hold of this Manorama. And but now she started crying and wailing. So at that time Swarochi immediately changes his mind. He feels that okay, I'll end up killing the demon. And now this demon was afraid, because he knew that his end was near. He prays to Swarochi saying that please spare my life, don't kill me. And he says that at that time, now he had also been born as a demon due to a curse. So he says, you have rescued me from a sage's curse called Brahmamitra. My name is actually Indivaraksha. If you want to know these names, Indivaraksha. And how I got this curse is I had requested the sage Brahmavitra to teach me about Ayurveda. He refused, and I decided to learn Ayurveda by hiding amongst his disciples. When he was teaching other disciples, I hid, and one day he came to know of this, and that's how he cursed me to become a demon. And I begged for his forgiveness, and at that time he said that no, my curse cannot go true, but after becoming a demon, you will try to eat your own daughter. So this Manorama, originally, that girl, she was a daughter of this demon, and when you do that, you will regain your original form of the Gandharva. He was actually a Gandharva, and due to the weapon that is there. So therefore now you have liberated me from this curse, and therefore this is my girl, this is my daughter, I hand her over to you, both of you can marry. Please accept her as your wife, and I'll also teach you about Ayurveda, whatever I learned from the sage Brahmavitra. So that's how he learned Ayurveda. And once this Swarochi, he learned Ayurveda, Manorama, the girl, she tells that my two more friends who are cursed of diseases, leprosy and tuberculosis, through your knowledge of Ayurveda, you please try to cure them also. Swarochi, he learns Ayurveda and he cures both the girls, and then both Swarochi and Manorama, they get married to each other, and thus they start leading a happy life. Now after getting cured from their diseases, both the friends of the girl Manorama, they felt very happy, or they wanted to express their gratitude because Swarochi had actually rescued them. So it is how to show gratitude. He ended up marrying, they also wanted to be married to Swarochi. Swarochi ended up marrying to this both those girls. Their names were Kalavati and Vibhavari. So Vibhavari, Kalavati and Manorama, these were the three wives of this person Swarochi. Now they were all experts in some unique arts. So Vibhavari, it seems that she used to know the language of other living creatures like animals, insects and so on. So she used to understand even other languages that is there. And so she taught this unique art that is there to Swarochi. And at that time Swarochi, he feels very happy that now not only of human, now it is so interesting, right? If more than human beings, human language, if you can learn some other language also. So this Swarochi became very happy that he was about to get the knowledge of something else, and he was leading a very good life now with his wives. Everyone was very happy. And at that time, once what happened is that a goose, a bird called goose, Goose, that goose, it was a female goose, and it saw Swarochi and his three wives. They were very much living, and that too, it was a very rare case. Now usually when there is more than one wife, you have some fights that take place, right? So but all these three wives, they were very happy with their husband. There was no fights, nothing. And at that time this goose, it tells that the male goose, female goose and male goose both are there. The female goose tells the male goose that you look at this king and his queens, they are very happy, and it is very rare to see such a sight. And the male goose, it did not agree to this. He said no, just from outside we cannot, just because you see them now that they are living happily doesn't mean that they are going to be very good. They can also be cheaters, right? They can also cheat each other. But then the female goose did not agree. It said that three wives are there, person is only one, only this Swarochi is there, but then and we see them also going about very happily, so then they must be living happily. Saying so, the male goose does not argue any further, it goes away. And at that time another female goose comes there. It was listening to the conversation of both these female and male gooses, and another female goose comes there, and she tells this first female goose that you are wrong. Swarochi, he is trying to cheat all his three wives, and so there is no question of love at all, because true love is there only when there is one husband and one wife, so that all the 100% love can be given to only one person. Otherwise, like three people are there, for all the three people you have to shower your love and respect, which is not acceptable. It is like you are dividing the same love that is there amongst three, so this is not actually right. And then Swarochi, he listened to this conversation of the gooses, and he also felt that what I am doing is wrong. Person is only one, but I am dividing the same. I am not able to give even my 100% even to one woman. So then it is quite wrong. I should not do this. He also feels, but still he does not give up on his wives. He lives with them for about 100 years, and after he does that, he leaves to a forest. That is Vanaprastha. In those times, people used to go to the forest and live once they grow old. So once he spent this time about 100 years with his wife and all, he sees a deer. He was going in the forest and he sees a deer with a group of doe, that is female deer, and at that time all the deer who were there, they all started talking about this Swarochi. Now it was those times when even animals also could converse, and when they were speaking, because he had learned, Swarochi could understand the language of animals because he had learned through his first wife Vibhavari, second wife Vibhavari. And all these deer, they were talking to each other that our faith is also like this Swarochi only. So Swarochi, basically he had got a very bad name in the society, in the forest, even among the living creatures. The reason being because he was only one person, he had many wives. So this was maybe a time when you can consider, like not like the Ramayana times or Mahabharata times, wherein having more than one partner was a way of life. So therefore during the Puranas, a bit times are changing, because the Puranas usually are quite later after the Itihasas. So therefore times are changing, wherein, so they used to, having more than one partner was a bit disturbing. Like in today's times, you cannot imagine, right? My husband has two husbands, or maybe one person has two wives. We cannot imagine this. So similarly, this, everyone started giving this example. Even the deer also, they also started giving this example of Swarochi, saying how he is, and thinking of all this, Swarochi feels very bad, and he realizes that what I have done in life, people, even though I have not done anything wrong, like I was not affected even with one person who went towards one woman, but they only came and they only tried to approach me, and I too was born through an Apsara, that is Varudvini. More than that, I did not do anything out of my own, then why I have to face all this? And now that I have decided to give up everything, I have left my wives, I lived with them for 100 years, even now people are still having this tag that look at Swarochi, he abandoned his wives, he spent his life with 3 wives and so on. So then at this time I don't know what happened, and so he becomes very sad and he does not know what to do. He just keeps wandering about here and there, and what he does next, let's look in the next class. So basically now he's just roaming about in the forest. Little more is remaining of Markandeya Purana. We'll look at that and then start with the next Purana next week. For today we'll stop here.